What if the most powerful religious leader on the planet stood before 100,000 people in one of Africa's most unique cities, a city literally built by the Chinese in the middle of Angola, and told a nation still bleeding from decades of civil war, "You are not alone, and you can begin again"? What if, just hours later, he knelt at a shrine so sacred that pilgrims had been camping there for 3 days just to catch a glimpse of him? That is exactly what happened on day 7 of Pope Leo XIV's extraordinary 11-day journey across Africa. And what unfolded on April 19, 2026 in Angola was not just a papal visit, it was a moment that cracked open the heart of a nation. Stay with us until the very end, because the second event of this day may be the most quietly powerful moment of the entire trip. Welcome back to Royal Chronicles, the channel where faith, history, and humanity come together. If you are joining us for the first time, you are in the right place. We cover the moments that matter, the leaders who move nations, and the stories that history will not forget. Hit that subscribe button right now and ring that notification bell, because we are deep in the middle of one of the most significant papal journeys in recent memory, and you do not want to miss a single day. To understand why day 7 hit so differently, you need to understand where Pope Leo XIV has been, and where he now stands. This is an 11-day apostolic journey spanning 4 African nations: Algeria, Cameroon, Angola, and Equatorial Guinea. By the time he landed in Angola's capital, Luanda, he had already celebrated Mass in conflict zones, appealed for peace in Ukraine and the Middle East, and spoken to a continent carrying enormous pain with enormous faith. Angola was his third stop, and it would prove to be among the most emotionally charged. Angola is a country of more than 20 million Catholics, with one of the oldest Catholic communities in all of southern Africa, its roots stretching back to 15th century Portuguese exploration. But its modern history is one of wounds. A brutal civil war that raged from 1975 to 2002, nearly 3 decades, left the country fractured, impoverished, and still healing. This was the nation Pope Leo XIV walked into on day 7. The first event of the day was unlike anything you might picture for a papal mass. The venue was Kilamba, a satellite city built about 18 miles south of Luanda, financed by Chinese investment, its architecture and layout looking more like a planned Chinese urban development than a traditional African city. Inaugurated in 2011, it has grown to roughly 130,000 inhabitants. And on the morning of April 19, it welcomed an estimated 100,000 faithful who came from across Angola and beyond, enduring intense heat and high humidity, to worship with the successor of Peter. Pope Leo XIV celebrated the Mass in Portuguese, Angola's official language, and from the very first words of his homily, it was clear this was not going to be a generic address. He drew from the third Sunday of Easter Gospel, the road to Emmaus. 2 disciples, heartbroken and confused after the death of Jesus, walking away from Jerusalem, not yet knowing the risen Christ was walking right beside them. And then he said something that made the crowd go still. He told them, "In this opening scene of the Gospel, I see a reflection of the history of Angola, of this beautiful yet wounded country, which hungers and thirsts for hope, peace, and fraternity." He drew a direct parallel between the disciples' grief and Angola's own story. The long civil war, the enmity and division left in its wake, the squandered resources, the poverty. He acknowledged that when a nation has lived so long inside suffering, it risks becoming like those disciples, losing hope, becoming paralyzed by discouragement, weary, and unsure whether it is even possible to begin again. But then came the turn. The risen Christ, he reminded them, did not leave the disciples alone on that road. He walked with them, he listened, he explained. And it was only in the breaking of the bread in the Eucharist that they finally recognized him. Pope Leo called the Eucharist the force that could rekindle lost hope. He urged Angolans to be witnesses of the resurrection, not passive sufferers of history, but active builders of what he called a new humanity and a new society. Brothers and sisters, today we need to look to the future with hope and to build the hope of the future. Do not be afraid to do so. 100,000 people heard those words under the open sky. And the silence that followed said more than applause ever could. But the day was not over. Not even close. In the afternoon, Pope Leo XIV boarded a helicopter and flew nearly 130 kilometers from Luanda to a place that holds a different kind of power entirely: the sanctuary of Mamã Muxima, situated on the banks of the Kwanza River. Mamã Muxima. In the Kimbundu language spoken across Angola, it means Mother of the Heart. It is the beloved local name for the Virgin Mary, and this shrine is the most visited Catholic pilgrimage site in all of southern Africa. The history of this place is profound and painful. For nearly 300 years, this site along the Kwanza River served as a waypoint for enslaved Africans being marched to the Atlantic coast for transport to the Americas. It has witnessed centuries of suffering. And yet, it has also been a place of prayer, of tears offered upward, of a people who refused to stop believing that someone was listening. When the Pope arrived by helicopter, descending into a crowd already trembling with anticipation, approximately 30,000 pilgrims had gathered on the shrine's esplanade, with thousands more filling the surrounding areas. Many had been camping there for 2 or 3 days. In 90-degree heat. Just to be present, Pope Leo entered the chapel. He prayed in silence. He left white flowers at the foot of the statue of Mamã Muxima. And then he emerged to lead the faithful in the Rosary as the sun began its descent, casting orange light across the sky and the river. The crowd joined him in singing the Salve Regina, an ancient hymn to Mary, as the light faded. Thousands of voices, one river, one sky. It was in this moment that the theme of the entire day crystallized. The morning's message had been, Christ walks beside you. The evening's message was, love as a mother loves. Not the transactional love of politics or the fragile love of circumstance, but the fierce, enduring, heart-of-the-heart love of a mother who never abandons her children, no matter what. The Pope entrusted Angola to Our Lady of Muxima, asking her to always sustain you in faith, hope, and charity. Day 7 in Angola was 2 events. But it was one message: you are not forgotten, and you can begin again. For a nation that spent 27 years tearing itself apart and the years since quietly trying to stitch itself back together, this was more than a papal visit. It was a recognition, a validation, a hand extended not with pity, but with love. And here on Royal Chronicles, we believe that is exactly what the world needs: more of leaders who do not look past pain, but walk directly into it, and say, I see you. Keep going. We are continuing to follow Pope Leo XIV's full journey across Africa right here on this channel. Every stop, every homily, every moment that history will remember. If you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. Drop a comment below and tell us, which part of Day 7 moved you the most: the Mass at Kilamba or the Shrine of Mamã Muxima? Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this story, and we will see you in the next one. This is Royal Chronicles. And the story is far from over.